Welcome back to Acrylics 101 Basics for Beginners. Today's lesson is number 4, and today we're going to create a pure color chart. We're going to do that for several reasons. We're going to practice mixing with our palette knife, and if you're new to painting, that's going to be uncomfortable and awkward feeling. Practice creating values, because that is what painting is about, is creating form. Well, especially realism is about creating form, and that takes understanding of values. And we're going to see what happens with the paint when we add white into it. So grab your paint tools and let's get going. The first color chart we're going to create is a pure color value chart. Included in the handout is how to create this grid on an 8 by 11 inches or 20 by 28 centimeter sheet. Write pure color chart along the left side of the grid. Across the top, I'm writing colors that I will be using today: cadmium yellow light, yellow ochre, alizarin crimson hue permanent, cadmium red medium, ultramarine blue, cerulean blue, permanent green light, and raw umber. The brands and names of the paint that I'm using are also on the handout. You can change out yellow ochre to cad yellow medium if you would like, or cerulean blue to phthalo blue green, or permanent green light to phthalo green yellow. Use what you have in your collection already. We are creating a color value chart to help us to understand what our paint colors do when we add white. We will start with the out of the tube color, which is the darkest value on the top of the chart, and then we shall add white to make the value lighter as we go down. So darkest to lightest. Time to get started. Let's use some magic to make this part go quicker. Out comes cadmium yellow light, yellow ochre, alizarin crimson, hue permanent, cadmium red medium, ultramarine blue, cerulean blue, permanent green light, and raw umber. I'm placing the white paint on the bottom left in a long slender blob to help avoid cross-contamination. What I've done here is I've taken 3/4 of the cadmium yellow light and moved it down and added some white, took half of that pile and added some more white to the next value, and now I'm taking half the pile, adding more white to get to value 4. Take half of that to create value 5. Notice when I'm working with the palette knife, I'm pushing down and pushing it together. I'm only using the bottom of the palette knife. Take some more white, and now we're doing value 6. And I never bring out, I just use what's on the palette knife to get to the light value, the lightest value. And I'm going to need more white because obviously it's not light enough. I've probably squinted my eyes. Squinted my eyes at this point, and then I've realized that I need to go up and lighten all of the values just a little bit by just using what's on the palette knife. I'm not adding any more white, I'm just adding what's on the palette knife. Value up to value 2, and leaving the top one, of course, the pure tone alone. We're going to get prepared to paint it onto our color chart. I start always at the bottom, the lightest value. I'm going to paint it on, and then what I'm going to do is bring out a piece of paper towel so that I can remove all the excess paint off before I take the next value up. So I'm taking the excess paint off and adding value 5. Yellow starts off as a very light value, so you'll notice as we go along in our chart that will be more noticeable, that it's very pale and the other colors are more intense. You'll add more white. So value 3, value 2, Clean it off again, and the pure tone. You can be as meticulous as you want to be, or you don't have to be. So you can see that I've sped it up so that we can get through this quickly because, you don't want to sit here for 45 minutes while I do a chart. I continue to work from the bottom to the top, cleaning my brush in between. I'll do that all the way across. So what is one of the reasons you would spend all this time making color charts? And it actually won't take that long to do, but it will make such a difference to your life. It'll transform your understanding of what your paint can do. It'll give you more control, and you'll be able to go back and look at these charts to say, oh, how do I get that color that I'm seeing? It's a really huge tool. It's a bigger tool than paintbrushes that I use, or the boards, canvas, metal that you paint on, or the palette knife. What we leave behind is our understanding of value, of chroma, and it's all done with paint. We've all heard that yellow and red and blue are the three main colors, our primary colors. But I've discovered that sometimes it's very hard to find a nice green from yellow and blue. You have to understand more than just plain yellows. And what yellow and what blue do you need to use? White is our coolest color on our palette, and it does cool down all the colors, and we need to learn how to manage that. Clean it up because I'm getting pretty squishy there. As I said before, it takes me 45 minutes to do a chart because I've done a whole lot of them. And what I've done is I put on a movie and I just go for it. And I work as long as the movie is on, and then I stop and I move on to other things. Our very last color to do is the low chroma yellow, which is raw umber. And I am pretty squishy here, I have to say. It's taking a little bit of skill, but I'm pretty sure I can do it. I've done a lot of charts in my time. I didn't really want to get another paper. So here we go. We're just about finished. Going back up to lighten the values a little bit more because it wasn't light enough. So I'm just going to move these around a bit here. I'm just puzzling it out. Where do I want it? I want the color chart so you can see it and all the pretty colors all next to it. We have cadmium yellow light, yellow ochre, alizarin crimson hue permanent, cad red medium, ultramarine blue, cerulean blue, permanent green light, and raw umber. And of course you can change those colors if you need to. That's great. But what we're looking for is a cool yellow that's got a hint of green and it's leaning towards the blue, and a warm yellow that is heading towards the red, and a cool red that's leaning towards the blue, and a warm red that is leaning towards the yellow. Cad red medium is leaning towards the yellow. Then we have this cool blue, ultramarine blue, which is leaning towards the red, and the warm blue, cerulean blue, which is leaning towards the yellow. To receive the handout for each of the lessons, head on over to my website, dancingravenstudio.ca. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next art video.